Can a slime survive a fall from build height? Can a wither skeleton shoot a bow? And these are 47 Minecraft mob myths tested to see if they work. Starting with this myth that dolphins lead you to buried treasure. I got my dolphins here, and if I give them raw salmon, are they able to go lead us towards any kind of buried treasure? Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that there's some kind of treasure here, so let me see. So I go down here, I feed up the dolphin, and now I can follow it towards where it's going. So we're gonna get any kind of buried treasure, anything fancy? Oh, so there we go. It took us to an underwater ruin. Got it. So the dolphin will take you either to the nearest ruin or shipwreck. But the ruin doesn't exactly have my buried treasure. Excuse me, cod. This is why you're getting fed to be turned into dolphin food. But no buried treasure map. So does it lead you to buried treasure? I mean, it's buried. Whether it's treasure, it depends on how much you like wheat, I guess. Slime blocks save you from a fall. Do slimes actually take fall damage? Well, as you can see there, pretty clearly they do. But what's interesting about this, and what might be the reason for this myth, is that if we did the exact same test as Observer was telling me with magma cubes, there we go, magma cubes, because they scale, don't take fall damage. So they do a lot better, but you know, maybe it's for the best we're not bouncing off of magma blocks. I don't feel like that would be the most comfortable landing. Excuse me. No fall damage doesn't mean you need to go damage me with your fall. So the reason that this difference happens is because slimes will always jump one block regardless of size, so it's not exactly important that they would be able to survive that kind of fall. But magma cubes, their jump height scales with the magma cube size. Otherwise, you'd just see a bunch of magma cubes shattering into bits in the basalt deltas. It wouldn't make sense. Does wearing a mob head make you invisible to mobs? Well, let's find out. Oh, look at Observer. I guess we're both a little dry. If I'm wearing this and I go into survival, am I invisible to the skeleton versus normal detection range? Well, as we can see right there, the answer is clearly yes, from a certain distance. Let's look at the asterisk on screen, because as I start to get closer, eventually it will actually find me. Wearing the mob head of the correct mob does lower their detection range. And as Observer lets me know, holy smokes. All right, so it takes it down by half by wearing this. You know, if you want to blend into the next family reunion, I guess. Is it possible to make golems with redstone? Sort of. Because you can automatically place a pumpkin. It's actually one of the only blocks you can auto place with a dispenser. And then that carved pumpkin gives us the iron golem. But consider we're not able to auto place any of those other blocks. You can auto finish a golem. Can you auto make one? Not necessarily. If you were to name tag a creaking, does that prevent it from despawning? Let's get it to nighttime. That gets us our creaking. So if I take down my name tag, and of course, my favorite thing to do a name tag is naming it something that makes it upside down. Will our upside down creaking stay in the day? I mean, he's upside down, so you know, maybe the time sensitivity is a little different too. So we take that, set it to day. Does it despawn? It doesn't. What? I didn't know that. So if I break the heart, it's still connected to the heart. I'm gonna get Monster Hunter. That's so shocking to me that it stays during the day. Let's see normal behavior with that, right? So if I were to get my creaking heart down and then I set it to day, yeah, I don't even come around quick enough to see it. So it used to work where they would despawn in the day when they had a name tag during the snapshots, but that was changed based on player feedback. Hey, look at that, a point for player feedback. How tall are villagers? Are they the same height as the player? Well, as we can very clearly see by the fact that I can exit this door and he cannot, even though visually, if I go and stand next to this villager, we look to be just about the same height. You know, maybe put me back to back. If I stand on my tippy toes, I might be a little taller. Here, let's get a no AI villager for me to stand next to. How about that? So here's our no AI villager. It actually is a little bit taller than me. And if we check the hitboxes, that's all going to be confirmed. There you go. Villagers are taller than players. A player is what, 1.8 blocks tall? And they're exactly 2 blocks tall? Look at that, exactly 2 blocks. Will villagers despawn if you get far enough away? Well, unlike other mobs that we're used to, like hostile mobs, villagers are called persistent mobs. So if I were to step away from this, only the zombie villager is going to disappear and the regular villager will persist, which makes sense, right? You wouldn't want your villagers just all of a sudden disappearing entirely from your village. And in fact, if something like that does happen, it's more likely that one of your villagers died off or there was something like a lightning storm that turned them into witches. So if I stepped away from this, do we have our mobs despawning? Sure enough, we got our regular villager there, but our zombie villager, no more. Yeah, sorry about your brother. Do villagers need beds? Well, we got a villager. He seems to like his bed. I wouldn't have guessed pink for you with the eye patch. The truth is that villagers will still trade even without needing a bed. So if I go and trade with him and then I break his bed, he's still fine. It all depends on this workstation block. So you can always work, they're just not gonna sleep. The reason that you would want beds for villagers is two-pronged. One is that you need it for villager breeding, and in fact, every open bed is gonna be another villager that they can breed for. And also, they need beds to establish what a quote-unquote village is is to then make iron farms. Farmer villagers cannot farm wheat, they only farm bread. Let's see if that's true. Now, this is a villager that we summoned with its inventory already filled up, so it's not able to pick up anything else. And I believe if we got a tick sprint going, we'll be able to see what's happening here. So there we go, working along in the crop farm. Not looking very busy. All right, so it's definitely breaking the wheat, putting some of the stuff down into a composter, but do we see in here that we're getting wheat? So yes, we are getting wheat. So why is that the case? If you had an auto farmer or villager breeder, and you're wondering why you're only getting bread, the reason is that when they go to give it to other villagers, it's always gonna be in the bread form because it's a food item as opposed to the raw thing of wheat. Are creepers silent? Let's test this myth. So I've got a creeper here, right? It's definitely moving around a bunch. The cats definitely make sound, but can I hear anything from the creeper? Let's listen closely. Sure enough, there are very subtle footstep sounds that come from the creeper. But while there are footstep sounds, the creeper itself isn't making any noise. And the only time where it will make noise is if I get in survival and it blows me up. Ooh, okay, well, cats won't make any noise anymore either. Is it possible for a charged creeper to be completely invisible? What we're testing here is that some mobs retain parts of their model when invisible. Think of it like wearing armor while you're invisible. So, is this the case with a charged creeper? Because a regular creeper, that's gonna go fully invisible. That's expected behavior. But if I get in creeper, make it lightning, and then invisit, sure enough, both of those creepers that I have there, you're gonna always see their lightning cloud. Now, let's keep these charged creepers because I got another thing that I want to test. If we were to increase the creeper's power up to charged creeper status, is it possible for it to blow up other blocks? All right, we can test this with a flint and steel, so luckily I don't have to go into survival. So long! The answer is no. But what about something a little lighter, like filled with reinforced deep slate? Still no. The reason for this myth existing actually I think probably comes from the fact there is a point where you can't explode these two different blocks. You just need to use commands. Do Elder Guardians constantly give you mining fatigue? The reason for this myth might be a little bit weird. So if I were to go into survival like so, not only am I going to get shot at by these guys, but after about any time in around a minute, I will receive the effect from the Elder Guardian. Because in Java Edition, they do give you the mining fatigue effect once every minute. They reset the cycle, and so if you're wondering why you could drink the milk and then be fine, only to get it yet again, that's why. There we go. So if you wanted to build a trap where you were giving off a bunch of Elder Guardian mining fatigue, then just by having more Elder Guardians, they all work on a different system. So you could basically make the effect non-stop, you would just need more Elder Guardians. Do lower altitudes mean higher spawns? Now, if you've seen people build really high efficiency mob farms, you're probably seeing them dig some kind of perimeter or hole like this to then have all their mobs spawn lower in the world. Does it have anything to do with the altitude? Not necessarily. What it really has something to do with is the amount of blocks that Minecraft's spawning algorithm has to check for. So think of it like this. If I'm into this chunk over here, there's all of the different layers that I'm flying through. Each one of these, Minecraft's got to check if there could be something that could potentially spawn in this area. And if you're thinking of all the caves and stuff that we have around, even if those are lit up, it's just going to slow it down. For this example, we have two platforms that are almost entirely identical, except the one on the left is perfect spawning conditions, no blocks above it, and the one on the right, if we zoom all the way up, has an absolute copy so that every block that you're seeing here in the red is actually covered with a block all the way up at build height. So already, look at the difference that we're seeing here. All of this filled up so much faster than the one on the right. So just by having even just another set of blocks, it throws off the spawning algorithm that much. When we do a test like this, it's ultimately clear that lower altitude does help with spawning rates. So if you want to build your mob farm, build it down below. Sea turtles have to breed on the beach. Well, let's find that out. So I could take my turtles all the way over here and get them breeding. That's not so much the issue. It doesn't really have to be a beach. The thing that you're going to notice though is that they always want to go back to where they were born, and at that home location, if there's sand, start planting down their eggs. So usually, because we're seeing a lot of turtles spawn on the beach, that's why this happens that way. There we go. So now that the block is sand, we're definitely not in a beach. It finally goes. So this next myth that we're testing is, do you need to sleep fully through the night to get rid of phantoms? As much as I'm gonna hate it, we're gonna set it tonight, summon our phantoms. The truth is just even touching my head to a pillow is enough to get me rid of insomnia. So now I no longer have the insomnia tag. Unfortunately, the phantoms are still here. So just having a bed that you're right clicking every now and then, that's more than enough. Granted, you'll still lose your spawn point that way. So it's not a perfect solution. So our next myth, poison works like regeneration for the undead. So let's get a damaged undead, even a little bit more damage. Now, the reason that this this might exist is because if I take a splash potion of healing, that'll kill him, but a splash potion of harming heals him up. If I were to get my weakened husk here and I give it poison, does that regen it? So he's not taking poison damage, but he's also not taking any health back either. He's still weak. Dies in only 2 punches. Our next myth is that all zombies are able to break down doors. But let's summon some natural husks here. As you can see, none of these are up for the task. And in fact, it's only up to 10% that can do it. And this will scale with regional difficulty. So the longer you're in an area, the more likely it is for zombies to become door breakers. But even then, it's still only 1 out of every 10. And it's only on hard difficulty where they can actually succeed in breaking down the door. The rest of the time, they're just gonna go and make a bunch of noise. There we go. Oh, sorry, villager. Worth noting too is that even if they have something in their hand, it doesn't make them mine through the door faster, even if they have an axe. Drowned, much like their husks or zombie counterparts, are hostile mobs. Well, we could test that actually. This one's a little bit confusing because during the day, they're not throwing anything at me. And in fact, they won't up until the point where I step into water and then I've made them angry. So if you're going for a swim and you're wondering why they're coming after you during the day, it's because you touched water first. So at this point, they're neutral. So now, if I were to get the drowned and it's nighttime, they will attack me under all circumstances. So they are technically classified as a neutral mob, but at night, they're functionally hostile, and during the day, they're functionally territorial. Wither skeletons cannot shoot bows. Well, we got a wither skeleton, we gave it a bow with commands. Will it shoot me? Not only does it shoot me, but there's an unexpected behavior where they shoot out fire arrows. So it makes you wonder if there's at some point it actually coded in for wither skeletons to have bows. That's not a bow that's enchanted with flame. That's just it shooting as if it was a flame bow. So wither skeletons, although you won't see this in the base game, will definitely shoot you with bows and arrows if given the chance. Does the same thing happen with a crossbow? Oh, there we go. Just changed it out in the command block. We've now got our crossbow wither skeleton. No, it doesn't work with a crossbow. So only a regular bow, which makes me think that it is a piece of holdover code. Maybe at some point they were supposed to shoot us. This myth is that you can't one-shot a wither past its half health armor. So the idea is that the fight is broken up into 2 phases, almost like a Pokemon raid boss. You can't go and one-shot it completely past its shield. Let's test that out. All right. Oh shoot, I guess I gotta attempt the smash. Let's give that a shot. Oh yeah! So as we know, with overkill, it's entirely possible to kill the wither in one shot. Piglins can open up doors. Let's find that out. All right, we got our piglin. I'm gonna leave it be, and sure enough, they can open up doors, which is fascinating to me because there's no doors that summon anywhere near piglins anyway. They're not gonna find any of these by natural generation. There's no piglin village structures, so maybe one was planned at one point. So obviously, if we were to bring a piglin into the overworld, it'll zombify. And I've got my piglin with a crossbow, so can zombified piglins use crossbows? Let's see if it loses that part of the brain that can pull the trigger finger. Zombified piglin, sure enough. Will it actually shoot at me? Well, gauged by the fact that it's running towards me, I think we could say that this myth is debunked. It is not possible to get shot at by a zombified piglin. It's just not in their code. Which for a mindless zombie, I think that makes sense. Oh yeah, they don't even know how to do the doors. Here, if I get myself down. Oh, but they do know that they turtle eggs. Sorry, buddy. But if I were to place down a set of doors, go into survival, I'm completely fine. I mean, I'm a little trapped, but I am completely safe. Oh, they break them down though. Oh no, this is gonna be a rude awakening here, observer. Next section, next section. That actually ties in with this next myth that we're testing, which is that do zombified piglins stay angry at you after you die? Okay, hey fellas. Good to see PigCon still going on. All right, I'm definitely been killed off. They're definitely angry at me then. Are they still angry at me? I'm completely fine. You can't even tell the difference. I look just like them. Striders will die if they're outside of lava. As we can very clearly see from our friend over here, he does get cold, but will he die? Well, given normal causes, he won't. But as observer's gonna show off with the weather command, the reason this might have happened to your overworld Strider, and the reason that it happened to mine Futon in the July series, was that rain can actually kill these off after long enough. So if it goes and dies in the rain, or if it wanders into some kind of thing of water, it will die off just the same. If I have a set of water there, it will still die off in that way. But just by the simple fact of being outside of lava, that myth is debunked. You can't disable blaze spawners. Let's see if that's true. If I go into survival, we're gonna get a good taste here. We have a bunch of light here. A little too much. I can't even get up to where that place is. So a normal spawner, you would just do the standard place down the 4 torches on the outside. The way that this works here is that there actually is an amount of light level that'll disable the blazes. It's just really, really high. You need a light level of over 11 to get them to stop spawning, whereas normal mob spawners require a light level of 0. So if you wonder why some blaze farms have it where they pour a bucket of lava over the top, that's why. It's given off enough light level where it's disabling the whole thing. The Ender Dragon fireballs that it spits out are completely random, meaning we can't predict the frequency of how often they're going to shoot out. But as we're going to show off, that actually isn't the case. If we were to get the Ender Dragon down here, it has a high likelihood of spewing out a fireball anytime that an end crystal's broken. Pow! So it's not a completely random behavior, and in fact, it's going to spew out usually to try to dispel that behavior of breaking off the end crystals. I mean, if that was my only life source, I wouldn't be exactly happy with anyone taking them out either. So if you want to avoid the dragon's breath damage consistently, just move after you break a crystal. This myth is that Shulkers are completely invincible when they're closed up. So if I were to get close to our Shulkers, are they taking absolutely 0 damage? The truth is that they'll take decreased damage, but they are still taking damage in such a way where it is possible to kill a closed Shulker. It's just gonna waste a lot of your sword's durability or your arrows. You can see by the amount of hearts that are coming off, it definitely takes more when it's open, but it's still possible to kill it when it's closed. So this myth is that Endermen do not immediately aggro when you look at them. So let's see, this is kind of like looking a gift horse in the mouth. I gotta prepare myself here. Hey! So, sure enough, it does immediately aggro, but it doesn't work in such a way where it's gonna immediately come after me. And in fact, locking my eyes behind this Enderman, I can keep it in place and not have it actually attack me. The way that it works is that you have to hover over their eyes for a quarter of a second. So if I just like quickly graze past, I mean, that's right on its eye level and I'm completely fine. It's when I start to go slower, then it's gonna be an issue. So if you're just surveying an area, you're probably gonna be fine. I mean, especially if you got the void button, then you're really safe. Well, not safe all the time, apparently. Ghasts are capable of spawning in the air. I love the target design for this ghast. That's awesome. So is it possible for a ghast to spawn in the middle of the air? Well, they certainly fly around a lot, so you're probably seeing them in the air. So here's our spawning platform. And then I believe if I go fly away, and if I go into spectator, so there we go. That ghast spawns, but it only spawns first on the block. And it's really noticeable because all their tentacles are gonna go clip through the blocks. There we go. So yeah, it doesn't even matter the light level. This is getting a little nightmarish. We probably gotta move on to the next section. Is it possible to convert gas into happy gas? Oh, well, we're gonna try by drowning this ghast. If you add water, will it become happy? Well, it seems kind of passive right now, but that's because there's no me to attack. The answer is there is no way to convert your gas into happy ghast. We're gonna make it a dearly departed ghast. Well, there's no way to convert your ghast to a happy ghast. It's not like if you go bathe your happy ghast in lava, it'll turn back into an angry ghast. It probably doesn't like you, but it won't be an angry ghast by definition. So this myth is that cave spiders will always poison you. I mean, otherwise, why would you have a cave spider versus regular spider, right? The truth is that on lower difficulties, all they will do is actually melee attack. So here we've got a cave spider on easy difficulty. I'm completely fine. I mean, not completely fine. I am still getting attacked by a cave spider. There's different amounts of poison on different difficulties too. If we go up to normal, then it lasts for 7 seconds and causes 6 damage or 3 hearts. And if we go up to hard, then it lasts for 15 seconds and causes 12 points of damage or 6 hearts. This myth is that if you're finding silverfish, that must mean that there's a stronghold nearby. Well, I'm gonna test my luck. You know, this doesn't feel all that lucky. And the truth is that it's really not lucky because silverfish can actually generate in situations outside of where a stronghold is. So silverfish are able to spawn in mountains, windswept hills, igloo basements, all as an addition to the environment. It feels more like subtraction, honestly. I'm not thrilled about any of this. Unfortunately, it does not mean that there's a stronghold nearby. Passive mobs are finite. So all the passive mobs that generated when you loaded up your world in the first place, they will never spawn in anymore if you kill them all off. Well, let's see. We got our passive pig right here. The truth is that passive mobs like this pig can actually respawn. It's just gonna be slow. And the way that this would happen is that you would need things like open grass blocks, a lot of time to pass, and you have to make sure that the passive mob cap isn't getting filled up by other mobs. So I remember a story vividly in July series where I wanted to generate more mushrooms in the mushroom fields biome post-generation. And the way that we had to do that is that we had to kill off all of my mobs that were in the spawn chunks because those were filling up the passive mob cap. And then eventually, if we loaded it correctly, we were able to get the mushrooms to spawn over there. So I typed in this command to log my mob caps. I hit tab. And then if you zoom in at that second fraction right there, 186 out of 10. So 10 is the mob cap map of passive mobs. And then 186 is how many are currently loaded. I would have to get it down to 177 just to have the chance to then load a new mob. So that's why you're not seeing people go and make passive mob farms very often. If you have chickens attached to a lead, then you can actually hold on to these to stop yourself from any kind of fall damage. Well, let's give that a test. A bunch of chickens on leads. It's not the most, but it should be enough. Fantastic. There's my bridge. It was a pleasure knowing you, observer. Make sure I don't drop any chickens before I need to go and jump off. And see ya. Well, for one, my leads break, but that's also not a feature of the game, despite what TikToks might get you to believe. Goats are able to drop mutton. Well, let's find out. Oh, hey, dinner bone. I got a bone to pick with you, and it's what we're having for dinner. Well, no matter how many times that I kill off that goat, it's never gonna drop mutton. So the reason that this myth might still exist is because at one point it actually was a feature of the game. I didn't even know this, but back in the Bedrock Edition experimentals for the caves and cliffs, you could kill off a goat and it would drop mutton. That's not the case in either version nowadays. So this myth is that you're able to tame your foxes and your axolotls. Surely enough, I can grab this axolotl and oops, apparently also ruin my set. Now that I've grabbed it, it should be quote unquote tamed. And if I give sweet berries to this, I can get the love hearts from my fox like so. But the truth is that they don't work off the same taming mechanics that we're used to from other things. You might have noticed that an axolotl will help you out if you're in combat with a bunch of elder guardians, but that has nothing to do with the fact that I bucketed the axolotl. That's just actually a behavior of any axolotl. If I'm helping them out, they just will help me. They'll get rid of mining fatigue, they'll give me regen, stuff like that. That's just a behavior of axolotls. Anyway, the reason you're seeing it like this is because usually you would bucket it to bring it over to the guardian temple in the first place. So if we got our foxes and I were to give it some berries, if I were to then go and breed two foxes together, the baby that's a result will get the trusted tag, but it's not tamed. It's not in the same way as a regular wolf would be. It's just not going to be afraid of you. So there we go. It is confusing though, because they do follow the adults that are fleeing from you. So they basically have that same behavior. Stranger dangers ingrained, I guess. So this myth is that you can instantly tame a horse if you give it an enchanted golden apple. Well, let's see. I got my enchanted golden apple. I shift click it. Is it instantly tamed? Not at all. While certain items are definitely better, it's not like it's that much better. I still had to give it 9 enchanted golden apples just to get it like this. Don't waste your enchanted golden apples on this. You're literally better off if you just put it towards a thing banner pattern. If I were to get a regular and give it regular golden apples, still very expensive, might I add. Just the same, I gave it 10. It is the fastest way to tame them. You're getting no benefit from the enchanted one over the regular one. Certain horse breeds are a faster speed. Let's see. Whoa! Opa! All right, we got all these horses and I could go ride as many of them as I want, but the truth is that the color of the horse has no impact on how fast they go, which I think is kind of nice. If you want any horse that you want in a specific color, you could get it fast. It'll just take a lot of breeding. Bees most commonly spawn in flower forests. Well, the truth is that this actually, not only is it false, but flower forests are some of the lowest spawn rate biomes for bees. The highest spawn rate for bees is going to be in the meadows, which does look fairly similar to a flower forest, so you're forgiven on that one. However, the trees they find here are pretty rare. 5% in all of the plains, mangrove swamps, and cherry groves will have bees on the trees, and it's only 2% in flower forests. That is better for the regular forest, as it ends up being 0.2% in regular forest, birch forest, and old growth birch forests. Here's our flower forest, and can we find any bees? Oh, there's one right over here, but I don't even think this is in the flower forest area. Oh, it still is. The reason this misconception might happen is because the only way to get a sapling to grow and grow with a bee nest is by having it within 2 blocks of a flower. Obviously, there's a lot of flowers in a flower forest. Even then, it's a lower chance than if you were to bone meal the sapling yourself. That being a 5% chance as compared to the 2% chance that we're seeing here. Spiders will attack bees. Well, let's see. Yeah, I don't think they signed any kind of peace treaty. I think this is just actually spiders will never attack bees. And now if it's turned to night, still no difference. So the truth is that if your bees are disappearing, it's more likely that they lost their home on accident, because bees will continue to wander away further and further from the bee nest. Spiders cannot climb magma blocks. Well, let's see. We got our setup and we aggro the spider. Will it climb up the magma blocks? Sure enough. It's not even taking damage from it. Now, the reason this myth exists is because this is a Bedrock Edition only feature. So in that version, the spiders can't climb magma blocks. But for those of us on Java, it's not a way to keep you or your villagers safe in this case. The next myth we're testing says that a spider can climb the world border. Well, we can't place any blocks off the world border, so that would be a little weird. There we go. If I get my spider in, and if I get up here, go into survival, is it able to climb up towards me? sure enough, a spider is able to climb the world border, which is such a weird sight. Look at that go. I can't place any blocks off of this. I can't shoot any arrows through it, but for some reason the spider can climb up it. Oh, that is weird. Observers pointing out that they can walk through it just fine, but they still climb it like a block. That's a very weird behavior. Pillager banners will make pillager patrols more likely to spawn. Well, we got one placed down here, and I can tell you already that placing a pillager banner has no impact on the spawn rates. So even if you're, as observers showing off, even if you're flying the enemy colors, that's not exactly convincing any more of them to spawn, which is unfortunate. That would actually be kind of a cool mechanic, but all it does is just lowers your property value and frame rate. As you might have seen, witches can actually generate during a raid, and if I get the Bad Omen 5 effect, we'll probably see some here. But while that is true, will they attack the villagers? Let's find out. All right, we got a witch from this part of the raid. Let's see how it goes and helps out the rest of the raid. So as you can see, it does give down things like regeneration potions, but does it attack our villagers? Well, we could even test this out by just placing down a villager next to it. Even though our pillagers are gonna go after it and the witches would go after us, the witches do not actually do anything to our villagers. Despite how scared, look at this guy, he's sweating. Yeah, the witch will be very confused. So even though it's counted towards the raid, it doesn't exactly help out to finish the raid, which I guess that makes sense. It's a healer main. So we could trap a witch with our villager, and despite their differences, they're completely fine. Bats are able to spawn the warden. Now, that's something I've always been worried about when I see one of these bats going and flying around the skulk shriekers. It's definitely intimidating, but the truth is that even though they're able to make it play a sound and that they can activate the different skulk sensors, it actually does not tap into our 3-strike system. If we brought down a whole bunch of other mobs, if I brought down things like villagers and pigs and everything, they'll definitely trigger our skulk sensors, but the skulk shrieker is only triggering based off of player vibrations. But the reason that this myth might exist is because the warden will attack some of these mobs, including bats. So as we can see by these sound waves that are given off by the bats, the warden actually will aggro on the bats, but the shriekers, not so much. We're going into an actual ancient city for this one, since this myth says that it's impossible to spawn multiple wardens at the same time, which if you think of it like a boss mob, that would make sense. As we're gonna see by me getting a little too crazy here with these skulk shriekers, is that there's actually no limit to how many wardens we can get to spawn here. The only limit is that there's no other wardens within a 24 block radius. But if you're running the length of this ancient city, 24 blocks is not that much of a limitation. There's also some amount of time that has to pass because of a cooldown on the shriekers. So it's not gonna be spawning wardens all the time. Be extra careful. Just because there's one warden chasing after you does not mean that there's not gonna be another one right after it. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video. So see if they're right and have a good one. All right.